The city of San Francisco is known around the world for the Golden Gate Bridge, Alcatraz Island, and cable cars riding steep hills with panoramic views. Today, San Francisco is recognized as one of the most scenic cities in the world. The first cable car line opened in 1873, and within a few years, 8 private companies were operating 11 cable car lines throughout the city. With the new century and the rebuild of the city after the 1906 earthquake, more efficient electric streetcars replaced the aging steam-powered cable car system. Only a few lines survived, operating on steep gradients not suited for streetcars. In 1912, financed by public bonds, the San Francisco Municipal Railway was formed to operate city-owned streetcars. After the successful opening of its first line on Geary Boulevard, the Municipal Railway, or MUNI, began acquiring privately owned streetcar companies and expanded its network of both streetcar and bus lines. In 1939, MUNI opened the 11 Telegraph Hill line to serve the Telegraph Hill and North Beach areas and bring visitors to the newly completed Coit Tower atop Telegraph Hill. The 11 route ran on Union Street from Montgomery Street, circled Washington Square Park, then turned onto Stockton and Lombard Streets before climbing to Coit Tower. The route took 8 minutes each way, with a 4-minute layover at Union and Columbus to connect with the E Union and F Stockton streetcar lines. In 1944, the city acquired the Market Street Railway, or MSR, the largest remaining private streetcar company in San Francisco. Following the acquisition, MUNI merged some of its new lines with old ones and embarked on a program of renumbering its streetcar and bus lines. MSR's 11 Mission streetcar line, which had been serving the South of Market and Mission District, became MUNI's 11 Hoffman bus line and was extended to Noe Valley and Forest Hill. The 11 Telegraph Hill was changed to 39 Coit in 1949. To meet with the challenge of steep gradients and tight turns on the 39 route, MUNI purchased a small fleet of gasoline coaches Model 784 from the White Motor Company in Cleveland, Ohio. Only 32 feet long, these buses were nicknamed Baby Whites. Number 042 was renumbered 062 in 1946 when MUNI repainted its fleet into the new green and cream livery with a wing design. In 1971, to reduce the cost of fuel, MUNI added 2 diesel-powered buses to the 39 line. These buses were taken from the large fleet MUNI had acquired in 1955 from the Mack Truck Company of Allentown, Pennsylvania. To fit the requirements of the 39 line, 5 feet were cut out of the middle part of the body and frame and welded back together. The White Company buses were retired in 1975 after serving for 36 years, longer than any other in MUNI's fleet. Their last paint scheme was the maroon and gold borrowed from the California Street cable cars. Number 062, pictured here at the foot of Coit Tower, was restored in 2012 and given back its number 042, along with its original orange and black colors. 042 is now part of the vintage bus fleet, operating in special service during MUNI Heritage Week. To replace the 2 aging Mack buses, a fleet of Metropolitan models from AM General came into service in 1975. Nicknamed Amy's, these buses were the first to wear the new Sunset livery with the worm logo, a design created by San Francisco brand designer Walter Landor, whose work is widely recognized around the world. In 1979, the 39 line was extended to serve Fisherman's Wharf, which had become a popular tourist destination. The route around Washington Square Park was modified to run on Columbus Avenue and stop at the North Beach Library, then continue along to the North Beach Playground to Powell Street, and make a loop on Jefferson and Beach Streets. The line terminal was moved to Jefferson and Hyde Streets near the Hyde Street Cable Car Terminal and the popular Cannery Mall. The increase of traffic along the wharf's numerous shops and restaurants forced Muni to redraw the route to a less congested area. In 2010, the line terminal was moved to North Point and Stockton Streets, next to Muni's Kirkland Bus Yard, and the Fisherman's Wharf stop was moved to Pier 39. For our trip on the 39 line, we'll be riding both the Orion hybrid bus Muni acquired in 2007 and the new Easy Rider 2 hybrid electric bus acquired in 2022. Manufactured by El Dorado National California, or ENC, the Easy Rider 2 provides more reliable and cost-effective service on the routes historically served by shorter buses. At 32 feet long, the bus has seating for about 25 passengers and room for multiple people using wheelchairs. The first part of our trip will take us to the end of North Point Street and to the Embarcadero for our first stop at Pier 39. Turning onto the Embarcadero, we follow the tracks of the new F Market route, San Francisco's vintage rail line of refurbished historic streetcars. Our bus skirts along the Bayside Park of Plaza de California. With a playground, benches, and a Roger Barr sculpture to gaze at, it's the perfect place to relax after a hectic visit to Pier 39 or a stroll along the Embarcadero. The San Francisco waterfront was originally planned to accommodate the rapid growth of the port spurred by the gold rush in the 1850s. In the urgency to build new piers quickly, the side of Telegraph Hill was blasted to extend the port to Fisherman's Wharf. By 1933, the waterfront had 18 miles of berthing space, 42 piers, and a railroad. But the Great Depression and later World War II saw the port business decline quickly. Container ships had become the norm, and the waterfront, with its closely packed piers, became obsolete, leaving Oakland to become the dominant shipping port in the Bay Area. With Beach Street now branching off the Embarcadero on the left, our bus follows the F-Line tracks for the first stop at Pier 39. In the 1970s, in an effort to revitalize the waterfront, entrepreneur Warren Simmons convinced the city to turn Pier 39 into a shopping center. The new Pier 39 opened in 1978 by Board of Supervisor President Dianne Feinstein, who wore an old Sutro Bath swimsuit as a bet with Simmons on whether his project would open on time. The next leg of our trip will take us to Powell Street, past the Kirkland Bus Yard, and to the Joe DiMaggio Playground. opened in 1950, the Kirkland Bus Yard was home to the 39-line buses until the early 2000s, when the new fleet of hybrid electric buses was sent to the Woods facility in the Dogpatch neighborhood. The Kirkland Yard currently maintains 135 buses servicing 5 different bus and trolley lines. Before Muni built its facility here, the area was home to the Harbor Lumber Company. The tracks on the 39 route belonged to the 15 3rd streetcar line operated by the Market Street Railway. Motor traffic was sparse in 1915, and for children, the street was their playground. This streetcar on the 15 line coming down Powell Street is on its way to the terminal on Beach Street, 2 blocks away. Car number 820 just left the terminal and is heading to Market Street and then down 3rd Street to end its run at the Southern Pacific Railroad Terminal on Townsend Street. It's making one of its last runs as the line was turned into a bus line when Muni acquired the Market Street Railway in 1944. The new 15 line was then extended to run the length of 3rd Street all the way to San Bruno Avenue. It was replaced in 2007 with the T 3rd Street light rail, while the 8 Bayshore bus covers the old 15 line run on Powell Street along with our 39 Coit bus. Our bus now approaches the Joe DiMaggio Playground. In 1970, the playground was still called North Beach Playground. Built in 1910 in the densely populated North Beach neighborhood, the playground included 2 swimming pools, one for boys and one for girls. It was renamed Joe DiMaggio Playground in 1981 to honor the famed baseball player who grew up playing softball in the playground with his brothers. In the early 2000s, an extensive renovation eliminated vehicles from a section of Mason Street, and the 39 line was redirected to Powell Street. With the increase of traffic on Columbus Avenue, the left turn onto Union Street was eliminated, and the line was extended on Powell Street for a safer turn onto Union Street and to our next stop. At Greenwich Street, we turn eastward toward Telegraph Hill for a look back in time to the late 1800s. Telegraph Hill's landmark at that time was Lehman's Castle, standing prominently at the top of Greenwich Street. The cable car line was a simple funicular that ran from Powell Street to bring customers to the castle. Built in 1882 by Frederick Lehman, the castle housed a bar, a restaurant, and a dance hall. Also known as Lehman's Folly, the castle also offered visitors a breathtaking 360-degree view of the city and its surroundings. But the crowds Frederick Lehman hoped to attract never materialized. The cable car line closed after only 2 years of operation, and the castle fell in disrepair until a fire burned it to the ground in 1903. After crossing Columbus Avenue, our bus passes a new building calling itself Palace. It borrowed the name from the movie theater that once occupied the same corner. It was built in 1909 as a vaudeville venue called the Washington Square Theater. The name was changed to Palace Theater after it was converted into a movie theater in 1928 and then renamed Pagoda after a 1967 renovation. The name Pagoda was chosen because the letters closely matched that of Palace. When the Renaissance Rialto cinema chain took over the operation in the early 80s, the name Palace was returned to the theater until it closed down in 1994. Turning onto Union Street, the 39 line merges with the 45 Union trolley line. Both lines stop at Columbus Avenue to connect with the 8 Bayshore and 30 Stockton lines running on Columbus. The 30 Stockton began service in 1915 as the F. Stockton streetcar line to bring visitors to the Panama Pacific International Exposition. This 1947 photo shows a northbound F-line streetcar on its way to the Stockton Street Tunnel and Chinatown. It's making one of its last runs, as the line was turned into the 30 Stockton trolley line the same year. The next leg of our trip will take us around Washington Square Park and up Telegraph Hill to Coit Tower. The area we know as North Beach was an actual beach that extended to Francisco Street. It was settled as early as 1836 by Mexican cattle rancher and mother of 8 children, Juana Briones. She was also an entrepreneur involved in the early development of the city, which was then a small Mexican town called Yerba Buena. Largely forgotten after her death in 1889, Juana Briones is recognized today as the founding mother of San Francisco. As the city expanded during the gold rush, the empty square area was declared public land in 1850. Prisoners were sent to level the ground before it was landscaped as a public square. After the 1906 earthquake and fire, it became the temporary home for some 600 people who lived in army tents and wooden barracks. Washington Square was redesigned in 1958 with curving paths circling the periphery of the center lawn. This urban oasis, with Saints Peter and Paul Church as a backdrop, has been an attractive location for many film productions. As we round the corner onto Stockton Street, we get a closer view of Saints Peter and Paul Church and its distinct spires. During its construction in 1923, Cecil B. DeMille used the site as a movie set for his film The Ten Commandments. Between 1926 and 1927, the church became the target of 4 bombings by local anarchists. The bombs never caused serious damage, and on their 5th attempt, the bombers fell into a trap set by the police and were shot dead as they fled from the scene. At the corner of Filbert and Stockton Streets is the iconic restaurant and bakery Mama's on Washington Square, a popular destination for locals, travelers, and celebrities. Opened in 1951 as an ice cream and candy shop called Herbert's Sherbet, owners Michael and Francis Sanchez expanded the location in 1964 to accommodate a 14-table restaurant. Customers often line up early to sample one of Mama's signature breakfasts, be it the Italian omelet, the chocolate cinnamon French toasts, or the Blackstone Eggs Benedict. The best table is number 2. Our bus now turns onto Lombard Street and begins its climb on Telegraph Hill. Looking east toward Russian Hill, another San Francisco landmark appears that needs no introduction. As we pass Grant Avenue, stairs appear on the right side of the street. They lead to a short alley called Child Street. In the early morning hours of December 28, 1964, the 3-story apartment house next to the stairs collapsed into Lombard Street. The house had been standing on the edge of a large excavation that extended to Grant Avenue. When another house began tilting and threatened to take with it the other buildings still standing at the edge of the excavation, it became clear that these buildings had to be demolished. The first 3 came down easily, while the last one resisted demolition, still tilting precariously. One of the workers, armed with only a crowbar, managed to bring the house down all by himself, earning a well-deserved accolade from the San Francisco Chronicle. Little has changed here since Baby White 060 rounded the same corner in 1966. But looking further back in time, Telegraph Hill showed itself to be little more than a bare and windswept hill. It took the name Telegraph in September 1853 when the first telegraph in California was set up to replace an old semaphore. Known as the Marine Telegraph Station, it was destroyed by a storm in 1870. The land was purchased in 1876 by George Hearst, a gold rush pioneer turned U.S. Senator and father of newspaper mogul William Randolph Hearst. George Hearst donated the land to the city under the stipulation that it be called Pioneer Park in celebration of the United States centennial and perhaps also to his own past. The 39 line almost suffered the same fate as Lehman's cable cars when, in 1954, a plan was proposed to end all services on the line. A group of local residents who depended on the convenience of the line formed a committee to fight its closure. Under the name the Telegraph Hill Dwellers, the committee launched a Save the Coit Tower Bus petition campaign and threatened civic leaders to operate a donkey cart on the hill or install a ski lift should bus service be ended. Coit Tower became the main attraction of the park in 1933, as well as an emblem of the San Francisco skyline. The tower was built as a memorial to Lily Hitchcock Coit, a wealthy, eccentric, cigar-smoking San Francisco socialite. She had been adopted by the fire department as a mascot, and she claimed the title of first woman firefighter in the United States. After leaving 1/3 of her wealth to the city, a memorial was built to her name, designed as a slender column to resemble the nozzle of a fire hose. Construction began in 1932 and was completed the following year. Murals were added in the lobby in 1934 to depict life during the Depression that gripped the country at that time. An elevator rises 200 feet to the observation deck, where a sweeping view of the city and its surrounding awaits visitors. Pictured here at the front of the tower is a brand new Orion bus on a test run in 1990. Muni took delivery of 45 Orions, model 01501. They were even shorter than their predecessors and well suited to the 39 route. In 2007, another fleet of 30 hybrid buses from the Orion Bus Industries was purchased by Muni. Model 07503 was among the first low-floor hybrid buses to serve San Francisco. From Coit Tower, the 39 line retraces its route to Washington Square Park before turning left onto Union Street for the last leg of our trip, a short climb to the terminal at Montgomery Street. Before the line was extended to Fisherman's Wharf, only one bus serviced the original 11 Telegraph Hill line, and the schedule was often tailored to fit the need of the local community. It was not unusual to see a bus waiting in front of St. Peter and Paul Church to pick up ladies after a bingo game or drop off older residents in front of their house. The last stop brings our bus in front of a store that was once called Speedy's New Union Grocery. Speedy's was the only grocery store serving the small community of Telegraph Hill. It was opened in 1915 by the Spediacci family. Brothers Art and Marshall Dong took over the operation in 1973. By the early 2000s, sky-high rent on Telegraph Hill had made the business financially impractical, and the store closed for good in 2008. Speedy's can be seen in this clip from the 1951 film The House on Telegraph Hill, starring Valentina Cortez and William Lundigan. The grocer is actor Mario Saletti. After a tight U-turn over the Union and Montgomery intersection, our bus leaves us to explore this historic part of Telegraph Hill. largely spared by the fire of 1906, it has the largest concentration of pre-1870 houses in San Francisco. Past Montgomery, Union Street ends into the two-tier alley of Calhoun Terrace. Here, we are offered a postcard view of the waterfront and the financial district, with the Bay Bridge spanning to Treasure Island and the East Bay. The building on the lower level, standing at 36 Calhoun Terrace, was used as an exterior location in the 1952 film The Sniper. The film featured Arthur Franz as the sniper and Marie Windsor as his first victim. Back on Union Street, now looking south on Montgomery, the sharp angles of the Transamerica Pyramid comes into view. A short half-block walk down Montgomery Street leads to a retaining wall with a balcony view of the jumble of high-rises outlining the financial district. The wall was built in 1928 with two separate staircases to allow pedestrians an uninterrupted passage. Turning north to the opposite direction, Montgomery divides into another two-tier street. A short walk takes us to the famous Filbert Steps, a series of steep walkways connecting the waterfront to Coit Tower. About 400 steps climb up the hill from the waterfront along lush gardens and old cottages. At Montgomery Street, the steps meet with the iconic Malek Building, an example of the streamlined modern style of the 1930s. The building was immortalized in the 1947 film noir classic Dark Passage, featuring Humphrey Bogart and Lauren Bacall. In this scene, Bogart struggles up the Filbert Steps to his hideout in the Malek Building. Today, there is little chance that you'll be spied upon from Lauren Bacall's bedroom in apartment 10 while climbing the Filbert Steps. Another short walk, and Montgomery Street opens up to a clearing with a sweeping view over the bay. Cruise ships can be spotted at one of the port terminals, as San Francisco hosts over 100 cruise ships every year. At the end of the street, we are met with another Telegraph Hill icon, the Julius Castle. It was built as a restaurant in the 1920s by Italian immigrant Julius Raz. Architect Luigi Mastropasqua used wood salvaged from the Panama Pacific Exposition as building material. It operated at first as a speakeasy during Prohibition. As a restaurant, it became a popular destination for celebrities and politicians. In 1951, the ground floor was covered with a temporary facade for the film The House on Telegraph Hill. On this composite shot, part of the frame was painted over to complete the illusion of a larger house. While in the neighborhood, why not explore the vibrant and colorful Italian-American community of North Beach, or hop aboard another bus on a connecting line at Washington Square for a visit to the Palace of Fine Arts, a shopping trip to Union Square, or a quiet stroll through the Presidio. From touristy Fisherman's Wharf to colorful North Beach and historic Telegraph Hill, the 39 Coit Line will take you along one of the most scenic parts of San Francisco.